Gaius, a brilliant sorcerer, laments that he cannot grow stronger with the three magical crests he was born with: creation, power, and rapid firing, so he decides to reincarnate in the future. Reborn 5,000 years later as Mathias, he gains the fourth crest, close combat, which is regarded as the weakest crest at the time. Mathias travels to the city after deciding to join the Second Royal Academy, where he discovers that magical knowledge has drastically decreased. He meets fellow Academy candidates Luri and Alma and enchants a magical sword for Luri, who develops feelings for him after defeating Knight Captain Guile with the sword and demonstrating his advanced combat magic. Mathias is accepted into the Academy along with Luri and Alma. Headmaster Eduard requests that he teach the other students his wordless casting, a skill that is typically frowned upon in academic circles, in time for the next inter-academy competition. During the competition, Mathias realizes one of the prestigious First Academy's students, Deviles, is a demon and fights with him, exposing his true nature to the audience. He realizes that the decline in magical knowledge and wordless casting must have been caused by demons, in order to weaken humanity after he nearly drove demons extinct 5,000 years ago. The king personally thanks Mathias for defeating a demon, despite the fact that it was hardly a challenge to Mathias. Mathias requests access to the kingdom's dungeons as his reward. The king reveals that the kingdom's most powerful sorcerers vanished after the demons' defeat, leading Mathias to believe they were demons who infiltrated human society to destabilize it. Mathias, unable to remain hidden any longer, decides to gather armies to attack the kingdom. As a result, he obtains the king's permission to continue teaching wordless casting while gathering the materials needed to cast a magical barrier of protection over the city. To gather resources, Mathias decides to raid a dungeon with Luri and Alma, teaching Alma how to use a bow and Luri how to craft and enchant weapons and armor. Mathias descends to a much deeper floor alone to gather adamantite for the barrier after reaching floor 10 and increasing their levels. While there, he also defeats a boss monster, attracting the attention of several demons. Luri and Alma inform Mathias that his former identity as Gaius is worshipped as a god of magic. After selling the boss monster's Magi stone, which Mathias believes is too small for the barrier, but everyone else believes is large enough to be a national treasure, he divides the proceeds equally with Luri and Alma. Two demons appear in the city to avenge Deviles' death. Luri and Alma divert the attention of the weaker demon, allowing Mathias to defeat the stronger demon on his own. The king rewards them once more, this time with the location of every known dungeon and a cash reward for Luri and Alma. Mathias notices a demon using a surveillance spell to watch the throne room and manages to injure the demon on the other side. The demon's voice is recognized by the king as Erhard, his former mage captain. With Erhard's location discovered, Mathias decides to track him down. However, because it would take a year to travel the distance, Mathias takes Luri and Alma into the mountains and introduces them to Iris the Darkness Dragon, who, despite being terrifying to the girls, is one of Gaius' defeated enemies. She revealed that years ago, an unintentional magical explosion reverted human society to the Dark Ages, as well as damaging her wings, which Mathias is now repairing. They travel the distance to Erhard in a single day, thanks to Iris's assistance. Mathias reveals himself from behind his invisibility spell after breaking into Erhard's home. Erhard attacks but is quickly weakened by the Magi toxin on Alma's arrows, severely affecting his magic and making defeating him easy. Erhard refuses to believe Mathias is the one who injured him because of how long it should have taken the real Mathias to travel from the academy to his home. Mathias also exposes a stronger mist demon hiding in the forest and curses the demon with a spell to overload his magic, causing him to explode from the force of his own magic after a short fight. The explosion reveals a dragon vein pillar buried in the earth, a massive crystal capable of tapping into the magical power trapped within the earth. The demons intended to summon a monster army just outside the city. Going back to the academy, Mathias agrees to vouch for Iris's admission to the academy in human form. Iris fails the written exam because she is unfamiliar with human behavior, but she is accepted after using unusual methods to defeat Guile in a sword duel and her magic nearly destroying the academy arena, which Mathias promises to repair. With only second academy students, barrier preparation moves slowly. The king requests assistance from the first academy, but headmaster Facus refuses to work with their inferior academy. Facus agrees to hold a second inter-academy competition as long as Mathias does not compete. Facus sends 50 students to compete against 5 students from second academy, but they easily win thanks to wordless casting. The king, who had been watching, notices that Facus has been forcing his students to disregard his order to switch to wordless casting and arrests Facus. Facus students, who disliked him, gladly collaborate with Second Academy and learn wordless casting. Mathias takes the girls back into the dungeon, much deeper this time, and summons a dragon with the help of Iris magic. After a long battle and the use of all their new skills, the dragon is defeated and yields a Magi stone large enough for the barrier. Mathias also determines that Iris has improved sufficiently to become an official team member. Iris uses her human body to train to be a better fighter, while Mathias and Luri use the dragon's resources to make swords for themselves, a new bow for Alma, and a spear capable of withstanding her power. As Mathias begins to build the barrier, demons attack, forcing Mathias to delegate city defense to Luri and Alma while he and Iris begin distributing adamantine to complete the barrier. The students keep the demons at bay while Luri creates an arrow for Alma that can defeat the first demon to attack. More demons arrive after his death, but Mathias, having finished the barrier in time, defeats them and activates the barrier, preventing demons from ever entering the city again. Unfortunately, the demon's army of monsters, summoned using another dragon vein pillar, is still outside the city. The students use wordless casting to defeat the first wave of monsters, then retreat so Mathias and his team can take on the more powerful monsters. Mathias manipulates the most powerful monster, a void eater that consumes other monsters, to grow by feeding it specific spells so that it will provide more useful resources once defeated. Mathias decides to leave the academy after defeating the Void Eater in order to find the Dragon Vein pillars. Eduard lets him go but keeps him on the list as a scholarship student in case Mathias's adventures land him in political trouble, which the academy can then protect him from. Alma, Luri, and Iris are also given scholarships to accompany him on his quest. Mathias decides to explore Melchia's dungeon, but discovers that an adventurer city has been built over it since his reincarnation. Alma and Luri try to avoid passing through a forest on their journey, but they inadvertently pique Mathias's interest when they mention an intelligent monster that lives there. Mathias easily defeats the monster, as he always does. When the group arrives in Melchia, they discover that the Melchian Lord has been making the city unsafe and controls the Adventurer Guild, which means that adventurers must do whatever job he assigns them. The majority of the adventurers are severely injured, and Mathias must heal them. Mathias discovers that the previous lord died suspiciously, leading him to suspect that the new lord is a demon intent on making adventuring as dangerous as possible in order to eliminate strong adventurers. He sends a secret letter to Eduard to deliver to the king, then plans to spend the next day hunting the monster that injured the adventurers. However, Mathias and Luri do not sleep at all due to the awkwardness of all of them sharing a room together. Regardless, they easily defeat the monster, attracting the lord's attention, who appears to have spies in the guild as well as adventurers working directly for him who begin following them. Mathias leads the explorers into a trap where Iris kills them. The king replies by sending his royal proxy, Ike, to order Mathias to arrest Lord Dokiel. Mathias arrests Dokiel and Ike takes him to the king. Mathias discovers the dungeon's dragon vein and summons a monster horde outside the city. Entering the dungeon, Mathias leaves Lurie to cancel the demon's spell on the vein. While Iris and Alma guard him, Mathias learns from the demon's telepathic conversations that a higher-ranked demon is advising the demon on how to beat Mathias. The Master also knows about Gaius, the sorcerer, but is unsure if Mathias is Gaius' reincarnation. Even with his master's help, Mathias beheads the demon. Lurie restores the vein, dispelling the monsters. Mathias and the master demon threaten each other via telepathy and agree to meet in the future. A real challenge excites Mathias. Mathias has captured the demon's magical signature in a Magistone, but he needs Gaius' device to track him. The device is currently across the border in the Radinia Alliance, and he needs permission from the king to cross. The academy has been demolished to make way for a new, upgraded academy. With permission to cross the border, Mathias discovers his device is in Fokia region, a magically powerful area only a rank adventurers are allowed to enter. Gilluas, an adventurer ranked S above A, is obsessed with fighting. He promotes Iris, Lurie, and Alma but fights Mathias, a famous demon slayer. And yet, despite Gilluas being the strongest opponent Mathias has faced, Mathias still triumphs. Gilluas is grateful for the advice but irritated at having to read books to learn. He warns them Fokia is dangerous and adventurers go missing. Border guards in Fokia immediately try to cast demon tracking spells on them. Bandits attack but are quickly slain. Lurie and Alma also doze off. On the way to Fokia, the group detects 32 disguised devils, a type of demon that lacks magic and prefers to fight in groups. Instead of eluding the town guards, Mathias discovers a tunnel. Upon entering Fokia, they discover citizens hypnotized to work in a large factory. Infiltrating the factory, they discover it is refining Lankan demon ore. To collect 1 ton of refined ore, which can destroy an entire country, takes decades. Fighting devils is risky because they can use sense share. So if one knows about them, all 32 know. The group begins killing the devils one by one until only 10 remain. The remaining 10 decide to blow up the city with ore, only for Gilluas to appear. Mathias is pleased to see Gilluas has already improved his spell casting. The devil is defeated but not yet dead. The devil sends a message saying he will be resurrected soon, then disintegrates. Mathias realizes the master demon responsible for Melkia was using necromancy to control the devil in order to spread the message. Gilluas appoints the foreman of the factory as the new lord of Fokia. Continuing on their journey, they arrive at the ruins that conceal the device, and Mathias is forced to conceal the fact that the ruins were built by him. Using his device, Mathias confirms that the master demon's name is Zardias and that he was sealed a long time ago because he was too powerful to kill. Mathias is convinced that he is too weak to defeat Zardias, and that even if he were, their battle would likely destroy the world and drive humanity to extinction. Desperate, Mathias uses the device to look for a sword he forged a long time ago, only to discover that it is somewhere back home in the king's treasury. Zardias is finally resurrected and flies to the kingdom to prevent Mathias from obtaining the sword. Alma and Lurie search the treasury. Mathias can keep up with Zardias, but he is injured, and he fears that defeating Zardias and saving humanity will cost him his life. Zardias reveals that all of the demons Mathias has defeated have been resurrected inside the barrier to kill Lurie and Alma. Eduard and the academy students save Lurie and Alma and throw the sword to Mathias, but Zardias stabs him. Mathias resurrects, revealing that the sword was his most powerful creation. If the wielder dies, their life force is used to resurrect them. Zardias is defeated, but before he dies, he warns Mathias that another demon will simply replace him. As a reward, the king grants them access to the treasury once more. Mathias unearths an adamantine arrow he fashioned in a previous life, but the matching bow is missing. He follows the bow to the Isis company, which melted it down because they didn't know the value of adamantine. So Mathias buys all of their scrap metal as well as some magical stones for the girls. Dokiel tells Mathias about an incident in which their neighboring Seal Empire was attacked by an army of doll soldiers. Because of the complex magic, Mathias deduces that a demon is to blame and may be in control of Seal. Lurie later suspects Mathias of kissing her, but he's just made her a necklace out of one of the jewels. Everyone decides to travel to Seal for their next adventure after they have fully recovered. Like and subscribe. See you on the next one.